So guys, we're back again. It's been a it's been a bit of a wild week for me on the trading front, and talking to you guys, I think it's been quite the same. It's been a busy week for market activity. How you've been anyway? How you've been? What you've been up to?
What have you been up to, Tony? I was going to say,
my head at some of this news that's coming out. I want to start off by asking Mario Fernandes to continue playing. My hopes are all pinned on him. No, I've just been... my season finished on Saturday. So from Monday onwards, I've been opening up my laptop in the morning, fiddling about my gallery and just trying to decide, should I cut down the Americans while the price is high and build 2 or 3 teams, or do I just grind with a strong American team? At the moment, they're consistent, but the LA Galaxy boys are letting me down. Fernandes, don't know what's happened to him. Before he was signed to 32 water, he was a goal scoring machine. Since he's been signed, he's not scored one singular goal. But we move, don't we?
Yeah. I let myself down this week in the midweek. I'm still kicking myself about it. But I woke up this morning to all of the MLS scores, and I saw that Ferreira did the business for me in my D2 All-Star, which has put out a pretty impressive score, to be fair. So I'm going to be waiting to see if I manage to hold on to a reward there. But I'm currently sat 3rd in All-Star D2.
Congrats.
I don't think I'll hold 3rd. I don't think it will hold. I think there's a couple people I can see that have got like 1 or 2 players to play, and River Plate have still got to play later, which was always going to bring up a few big scores, I imagine. But I'm hearing a few rumours of COVID outbreaks at River, so fingers crossed. That's the most dark ever. But hopefully it keeps me on the podium. But yeah, there's that. But do you know what I did? The worst thing I did this week was I had a decent U23. It was quite punty because I picked up the goalkeeper for Saul who came last week, Bake.
Yep.
And he started again. So I was like, sweet. As soon as the goalie started, I knew I had a decent chance of getting five cards out in a week that didn't have a lot of U23 activity. And it was looking pretty good for a card. I mean, it's still 17th. With 4 players, but one of them was a DMP, and I missed it. It was Obed Vargas, who plays for Seattle, and he was out on disciplinary, and I completely missed that he was suspended. And I had another player in my All-Star, which was a DMP minefield.
There's one for you. Sorry to interrupt.
That's it.
I was thinking about your Twitter the other day, and obviously you follow a lot of people for your music. Would you not be better having a spare Twitter for this? Because I always seem to screenshot and send to the boy Nicky Clark and our team about the American suspensions.
Yeah. Do you know what I've done? I started a list. It's a thing on Twitter called lists, and you can add accounts to these lists. Right. So I use for my Twitter, I use a thing called TweetDeck, which allows you to look at multiple accounts and stuff all at the same time. So I can see my list. I've got a Sorare info feed list, and I just put all the Sorare accounts in that, so I can see that's my news feed. But for whatever reason, I just didn't look at it properly. Another thing, in the midweek, there's not loads of fixtures, so I'll go onto FOTMob and I'll have a look at all the fixtures that are coming up and see if anyone's suspended. For whatever reason, I didn't look at that one properly and put him in the team. And if I'd have put Omir Fernandez in instead, he banged 100, 2 assists I was like, I would have probably been sat about 2nd in the division if I'd have just not put Vargas in and put Fernandez in instead. The other option I had was Gubon Chol, who plays for Seongnam, and he got a goal. Oh. So it would have been either one of those two, and I'd have been sat quite nicely. But as it stands, 17th in U23 with 4 players instead of 5. I'm not sure if I'll hold out for a reward because of the River Plate stacks again. But yeah, we live and learn. One of them game weeks, isn't it?
For sure. And for this game week, I only had one team with a playing goalkeeper in. I just managed to get Jonathan Bond back in. So I sold some MLS stuff earlier. And managed to get Kostic out for the Europa League final. Super rare. Got him in. And that team's just waiting on Barco. So I'm hoping any COVID outbreaks don't stretch to Zico Barco's hotel room. And he makes the pitch tomorrow against Colo Colo or Coca-Cola. But
yeah.
I was going to say off season for you, Tony. So, like, when do you actually go back at it?
24th of June, I think. So I've got a good 5 weeks. 5 weeks just to invest myself directly into Sorare, to be honest. Just
Putting in that team.
Just make sure you're not eating snacks while you're doing it. Like you go back into pre-season training, ready for the bleep test.
I'm on a good diet, to be honest. I'm down about 3 kilos in the last 2 weeks.
Oh well,
cool.
Just trying to, because I knew the end of the season was coming, I always kind of tinker my diet a little bit. It's a weird thing I do, and I'm feeling good for it. I'm just smashing the gym out, but I'm not running for the next 2 weeks. Just letting the legs recover. So I've got my fingers ready for Sorare.
Have you got any holiday planned? Are you going to go away?
I actually can't be on the stag next week. I've got I've got a stag do tomorrow for 2 days, but I don't drink, so it'll be quite calm.
You'll be taking pictures of all your mates. You'll be that guy in the group chat the next day,
blackmailing them,
annoying everyone. Yeah,
I want 50 quid so I can buy a limited Vargas. So I'm doing that for 2 nights, and then I'm back on Sunday for my B license assessment on Monday, and then I can't be on the podcast next week. I've just bought a car in Plymouth.
Oh wow!
So I'm flying down to get it.
Nice.
So
what have you bought?
That's a long way to go. I'm a bit stingy. So long story short, I had a Mercedes Jeep, and I had it on lease. So I got it before COVID struck.
Yep.
And since COVID struck, I think you don't know the prices of cars have went up 2 or 3 times. So I sold it, made a profit, seen the prices and thought, nah. I bought a Fiat 500 all blacked out. So I'm going to get that from Plymouth, and I'm going to just drive about with that. So I'll be driving that up. Me and my mate are going to drive to Plymouth with that up. I should actually take a vlog for the...
Yeah, you should. For
the end product vlogs, the first one to come out. I should just video the full day and see how it goes. But no,
I once did the opposite of you. I went to Aberdeen to pick a car up once, and I took a flight from London to Aberdeen to pick it up. I bought it when I was drunk. I didn't know I'd bought it. I did a gig in Sheffield, and I got home, and my car had broken down that week, and I had 3 gigs on the weekend, and knew I had to drive between them because I had like double ups in like Cardiff, Manchester, so I had no option to like take normal rail. And I got in from this gig in Sheffield, and I barely remember it, but I remember looking on eBay, and the next morning I woke up, I got an email. It's like, you won this item, and I thought, what did I bid on last night? It was a car.
Jesus.
So I bought a Lotus Elise.
Nice.
Yeah.
From Aberdeen?
Yeah.
How long did that drive take?
Mate, we split it up. So I took my missus. We got a flight from Luton to Aberdeen, picked up this car, drove to, I think it was like Newcastle or Hull or somewhere like that. Stayed in like a side of the road hotel, like a travel lodge or something. And then we broke it up into 2 days. Oof. It was mad. My missus hated that car. I loved it.
Probably because of that.
Aberdeen to London in a Lotus Elite, man.
It wasn't comfortable.
How big's a Lotus Elite? Because I think a Fiat 500 could maybe be smaller, no?
I said a Lotus Elise is like a 1.8 litre, but it's like a
0.9, I think.
It's like that tall, isn't it?
It's tiny, yeah. But it's like a little go-kart, but with like a full size car engine in it. It's good fun to drive. I'll give it that, but it's not comfortable because there's nothing comfortable in that car. They strip out all of the dash, everything's plastic and metal. There's like, even the seat is like a bucket seat, but literally like you've got no padding in it. Yeah, it is. It's like a very fun car. Like, so I paid like 5k for it, which is insane. And if you think about it now, it was a good price, and that's half the reason I didn't try and get out of buying it. I think I managed to turn a profit on it when we sold it, and it wasn't even running fully, so it wasn't all bad news. And if you try and buy one of them now, they're like double the price I paid back then. It's become a bit of a classic.
I'm the same thought process as you. I want to be driving about like a go-kart. I'm going up to Dundee sometimes, but mostly not driving far. And I don't need a fancy car. I've never been into cars, never in my life, and it took a while to convince the missus, to be honest. She was like, no, we need a nice car, but she's got an alright car, to be fair. And then eventually she just went, do what you want. I thought, decent. But
are you driving back on your own? Are you doing it on your own, or you've got
my mate?
Oh, that's going to be funny, man.
we're both got to do it. So we're
Yeah, you got to get some footage.
I'm paying his flight down, obviously, because he's doing me a turn, which is more than fair from me. From him, sorry, it's more than fair that I pay for that. And then I'll buy him a nice wee scran as well on the way back up, a wee meal. So
Yeah.
plus, you don't really get to see your mates as much when you get older. So I thought, do you know what? Half the reason why I wanted to do that is I thought that
Road
would
trip.
it would be decent.
Aye, good
I
excuse
like
to hang out with a pal. Love that.
Therefore,
For sure.
Before we get into a bit more of the chat, I wanted to touch on what I did before this podcast. Before we started recording him, Quinny sent me a lovely video of him dancing.
oh,
A beautiful video of him dancing. I'm sure I'll cut it into the edit of this podcast for people watching. Like you're in for a treat. He's put some fantastic moves on for you after losing the challenge last week. For the benefit of those just listening, I'll give you a description. He is moving to the back of his room. Oh, a lovely bit of side-to-side action, swinging those hips. He's thinking, oh, look at that, a lovely turn on the spin. Arms are in the air. He's loving life. What is he going to do next? A bit of finger wagging. Oh, a bit of left to right activity with a, what is that, kind of deconstructed moonwalk. He's giving it large. Yep, fingers are up in the air. He's definitely raving right now. Blinded by the lights. Oh, he's giving it some... there was a bit of little fish, big fish there. Fantastic. Tony, what do you reckon? What's the challenge this week? Have you had some thinking about what we're going to do this week? What we're going to pick out?
I was thinking we do a full team.
Oh,
Maybe we budget it.
we
A
could
real
budget
team.
a full team.
So, for instance, under 1 ETH for America, or under
Alright.
one ETH for America Asia split, or
What do you
we could
reckon?
even
If we
do
did
one player under 0.2 ETH who scores the most in America or Asia.
Okay, yeah, I like that. I'm going to get my laptop out now while we're chatting. And get Sorare data up. So an American player under 0.2 for the weekend, yeah? I like that. Cool. So how did your game weeks go, by the way? I know I sort of touched on what mine was, but Quinny, did you have any joy with that team that you managed to get out in the end? Where you sat in the...
I'm doing pretty well. I think I just need Barco to show up, and hopefully I'll be in amongst the tier ones and the stars, hopefully, if there's not too many other river platers kicking about.
Nice.
But
Nice.
to be honest with you, I've had a really I've been kind of preparing for this little period for a little while where I'm going to have less teams out, and I'm selling good cards to get money so I can buy other things that I want over the last 4 months or whatever. I've kind of narrowed my vision in. I'm only going to be playing. I was thinking about this. I've been thinking about this for a while, but I recorded something earlier. When the European stuff goes off season, I'm only planning on playing All-Star Rare Pro, Under 23 Rare Pro, and maybe if I can get in our goalkeeper Champion America Pro. That's all I'm planning on playing until the Europeans come back at it. Because I've not got that many. Also, I've just bought some stuff back in because I sold some limiteds. I've got a rare bond now and got some strikers in today and yesterday. But I've got a decent America contingent, but to move it on and make it I can compete in All-Star Rare Pro and Rare and America and Under 23s, Rare and Pros with all non-European cards. That's just too much for my gallery. That's just too much for me.
I was just going to say the same. I think I kind of semi-planned for this part of the year as well. So I bought Jesus Ferreira earlier in the year to try and compete, to have a D2 option for U23. But depending on how things go, I feel like I've got a pretty solid D3 there that can rotate in and out of America, Asia. I've got a few U23 Asias, got a few U23 Americas. So yeah, I think my goalkeeper situation will depend on whether or not I kind of put them in D2. Now, if this young lad that I picked up from Saul Bake, if he keeps his place, then I've got a pretty solid D2 entry there that has all super rares and a unique. So I think I'm gonna keep an eye on that. But the rewards that I've won in D2 the last few weeks, months haven't been amazing, and that I don't imagine they'll get any better while the European leagues are closed. Be interesting to see what they do with the reward pool in U23, because at the moment they don't like giving out cards that are a DMP. Will they give us a card that I can't use in the next game week? Is that going to class as a DMP? Or do you think I can still win European cards in there? What do you reckon?
Do you think the reward pools roughly about 10% of how many people join.
Yeah, that's another thing as well. Like, it's hard to know how competitive them leagues will be because,
I'm listening.
like I
Just
said,
close this door.
it's based on how many competitive entries, how many teams are playing, how many covered cards they're playing as well. So even though I've kind of planned a little bit for this time in the season, until we actually get into it and see what kind of reward pools we got, like a part of me is quite prepared to sit out some of the divisions that I could enter if I haven't got a strong team, or go trade. I was actually looking at like trending. I looked at Hans Vanaken as an example of like trying to see like what his long kind of graph looks like to see when is like the best time off season to buy European cards. And from what I'm looking at, my research, I estimate that the first weekend in June is like when a lot of the European cards hit their bottom price. So I might even sell some of my America, Asia cards if I'm not competing. If I'm seeing that, like, yeah, I'm not really getting near the cards, I might sell some of them cards to people who are trying to compete. Yeah, first weekend in June is what I'm looking at. So I'm going to keep an eye on it, if prices drop sooner than that. But I looked at Vanaken because he's been around on the platform longer than most. He's got more, if you look at his rare, if you go on Sorare Data and look at his score graph and zoom all the way out to all, he's got like, 4 seasons of data now on his price. So you can kind of see like the patterns based on like times of the year. And it looks around like that beginning of June time looks like the time that is always a sort of good time to buy him. So yeah, I'm going to be keeping an eye on it. If I can't compete then I might look to shift some of those sort of Asia and America cards that I bought to kind of try and compete, and then pick up some good European cards and just sit tight for a month or two. What about you? Do you reckon you're going to be doing much trading in the close season?
I've kind of bought all my Europeans already. Like I think we all kind of felt there was a champ Euro dip around February-ish time, and I kind of went heavy on some supers and kind of messed about with rares and stuff. And I funded that with Champion America. So like I've been playing this kind of dicey game of, like just riding on the seat of my pants. Like I've just got enough to keep competing, sell some stuff that's worth some money to try and get some stuff that will help me tomorrow, if you know what I mean. And then but again, I've also had some little bumps in the road that have made it even harder. Like Joseph getting injured, Barco was injured for a while, Wirtz doing his ACL, Miles Robinson doing his ACL, Hassel popping a finger out and whatever, so it's one of these ones. I'm always kind of setting myself up for the next little thing, and it's I say I deliberately kind of earmarked this little time just so that I could I'm not going to be that competitive in terms of like lots of places, but I think like with 3 or 4 teams with how big the outfield contingent I've got is, I can still have some fun in the off season, and I'm just kind of looking at it from that angle. Really, is just kind of wait and see if any more opportunities come up. Brilliant, but for me, it's really Celtic and New York City are the cards I'm looking at now. The kind of next 3 months.
Tony, you've got a fair few MLS cards, haven't you? So you must have a few good teams that you can make use of.
I've just sleepwalked my way into an MLS gallery. I'll be honest, I don't know how, and my gallery prices just went up. It's mad. I've got 2 keepers, I've got 4 defenders, and then I've got a Mexican league defender, a few midfielders, but I'm happy where it's sat. Do you know what I done? I kept buying midfielders thinking they were forwards. I told you that last week.
Yeah.
And I thought one was long-term injured, the boy Romel Kyoto. But he's back playing last night, so I'm going to sell Lewis Morgan, I think. And I'm going to try and just be competitive in All-Star Rare with a kind of Mexican sort of team. They're back in July, are they?
I think so. Yeah, I was looking at
the playoff things just now.
Goalkeepers in there, yeah.
But I've got a good starting 5 if I get a new defender. Derek Williams has been put back to centre-back and he's not really scoring. He was at full-back, he was doing well, and then now he's at centre-back, he's not really doing well for me, so I need a new defender, and I can play with Melia in goals for my all-star team. Cheap, 0.275 I got him, which is good for a goalie.
Yeah.
And then I've got Fry, the monster,
in
my main team. And I'm just hoping that the 2 forward boys that are midfielders and Hernandez start scoring goals and we'll be alright.
I think one thing that obviously this closed season offers that we ain't really had before is the underdog leagues, and those, like if you're short of a card or two to just get an entry in that, I think that is going to be interesting. I think that'll be quite competitive and gives you, like an option to maybe pick up a cheap card to field a side if you're like looking a bit low on like a really competitive entry. So I'm quite looking forward to that. I just hope I don't spend too much money just like filling gaps every week for the underdog, because I'm just going to end up with a gallery full of like underperformers that I can't get rid of. And it is amazing how much their price does fluctuate. I was looking at some of the cards I picked up for underdog and stuff in the last sort of couple of months since it started. And some of them, you can still use week to week, but it only takes a couple of good performances and then they're not usable. But the price changes on them so much. It's like, I'm going to end up with a gallery full of limiteds that are of no use to me if I keep on. I swear, like I've got to get out of that habit. But
why don't you go rare for that? Because the price rises all the time with the rares. So
yeah, it's not a bad shout. I mean, because the underdog rare doesn't. Am I right in thinking underdog rare only pops up occasionally?
Yeah.
Or is that there? I feel like underdog limited's there every week, whereas the rare one I think might just be weekends.
Limited, they're there all the time.
Yeah,
just buy 10 limited players and hope that if they perform, you can sell them. If they don't, you can use them again.
I've got a fair few rares that I might be able to use in those underdogs, and normally it's like I've not targeted the underdog rare yet. Like I do with the limiteds, I like if I've got a decent couple of players that qualify for underdog, sometimes I'll buy one to like have a really strong entry. But I don't know about in rare if I needed like to buy a player under 45. I'm not sure if I could justify spending out the ETH to like maybe lose, unless it was a good player that I might.
Somebody you're after anyway.
I'm looking at this weekend's one. I do actually have a couple of goalies. I've got a really good goalkeeper who's actually Jo Hyun Woo is eligible for the underdog this weekend, and he, the Ulsan keeper. That's a great one. When you've got a goalkeeper that strong, that qualifies.
Tony, are you able to get a rare underdog team out this week?
No, I've not been playing it because.
Sorry, but what I was thinking was we could maybe do that for the forfeit if we can all get a team into rare underdog. That could be fun.
Yeah, and see how we get on.
If we
do you know what I think Sorare needs to introduce, or like even a third party app, allow you to create your own little mini league. So like if we all entered the underdog rare, we could like follow each other's progress in the week and just put us into a little league. Like it doesn't have to have a thing, but it'd just be easier to follow rather than having to manually check each person's thing. Surely that'd be something they could add. That'd be quite a nice little feature just to see how your mates are getting on in the game week, because you can already like follow each other, but it doesn't really, there's no benefit of like, it'd be nice if those are like a little following bar to see like how people you're following are getting on in the league that week. That'd be an easy way to do these little kind of side games.
I'd like that.
Everybody needs to be under 45. You had like that as well, mate.
I follow a lot of my mates on them, but yeah, it must be something they can switch on. But even like Sorare Data or someone could probably do that, where you can just follow managers and just like it puts all the people you follow into like a little league table, so you can see how you're doing against all your mates. That should, if anyone's listening that works at Sorare Data, and like let's put it out there. We all saw the clip in the week. They gave us a nice big up on the Sorare Data podcast. So boys, if you're listening, put a word in.
Make it so.
Yeah. Let's make it happen. But do you know what? Looking at the underdog, I could put a fairly decent side out in that, looking at it now, in the rare one. I might actually target it.
I was just wrestling with it before, I had to nip out for a sandwich before we started, but like I bought a Patrick Kamala rare today. Nice. And I got a Fragapani rare yesterday. Both of them are strikers, Kamala's U23. This is part of my kind of America rebuild kind of idea. But both of them qualify for underdog.
Wow.
So I'm thinking, do I maybe just put both of them in underdog? They're both strikers as well, so it's a wee bit overkill, but I'm not too sure on my midfielder really, if he'll play or not. Josh Atencio at Seattle.
Yeah, I think that's where my weakness is, looking at what I've got available. My midfield, I've got options of quite a few sort of youngsters in America who haven't really been getting the minutes. Although I think the best option I've got there is Brian Gutierrez at Chicago Fire, but they're playing against New York City on the weekend. I don't fancy him to get a decisive against them.
No,
Damian Rivera, who's at New England, he's been getting minutes this season, but he didn't play in the last game, so I'd need to check if that was like an injury or something. But yeah, Eduard Atuesta is probably the best one I've got, but he's been in and out of that Palmeiras side. He did play 90 minutes yesterday, so I don't know if he'll be back in again. So that's my weakness, the midfield, I think, in terms of options. Got some good forward options.
But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at with Underdog. I could put a decent team. I've not went with the Klamala so far. I've put Falcao in it. I don't mind that kind of league for having those strikers that, they could just get a decisive from the bench, and you think, or even something like Falcao, is just old and they're playing bottom of the league last game of the season, maybe gets a goal to send everyone off to the off season, Sometimes football happens like that. Nobody's playing for anything. Maybe he takes a penalty, or something. But I couldn't go to the market and buy a rare mid to really give me confidence to go, right, let's throw it against the wall this week,
Yeah.
Unless it was somebody that I was right after, but don't see it.
I've got some good defensive options. I can see I've got like Bonucci, who's playing Fiorentina. Jong Tae-wook. He's gang one at home. But yeah, I think like the midfield's going to let me down, and I don't really want to spend out on a new one. But yeah, you boys watched the Rangers game. What did you think of that this week?
Felt heart sorry for them, mate. To be honest, I seen Ramsey walking up, and I said to my wife, "Oh no, Ramsey's hitting a penalty." I just think the way I see it, everybody was bigging up his transfer. He's been in and out due to injury. He has been injury prone before, but he's a top player. But he's just, when he stepped up, I just thought it's written for him to miss. I just felt that's what happens in football. There's so many storylines to be made, and that was one of them. And I felt sorry for him because they actually gave it their all. And when you play against them, they're all nice enough lads. You take away the rivalry, then you want them all to do well. Do you know what I mean? And it's good for Scottish football if they win as well, because the money drips down. But it is what it is, and you can't do much about it, can you?
Yeah, I see Quinny sitting there quietly. What did you make of it?
It was great they got to the final, but that's kind of as much as I'm happy to see them do. If that makes sense. I'd kind of said I thought if Rangers were going to make a real good shot at it, they had to get the game into extra time and maybe try and get it to penalties. And they played well, and it was almost there, for them. So unlucky. I think as well. It was one of those games that I don't know if you will remember, but you probably will. But like the first half, we lost like 5 minutes to that lunchtime cut. And then they had a water break at the 27th minute. So the first half, like, it felt like it took ages. Like, it felt like it took like an hour to get the first half done. And not that much happened. And then they came out second half. The sun is set. It's a bit darker, but apparently it's still pretty hot, And the second half is where it really felt like a final. It was good to watch for the neutral, certainly. And they were all pretty gutted. Yeah. You do feel sorry for them in the sporting respect, but maybe in a Celtic fan, like I don't feel sorry for them losing. Like, I'm happy to go to the final. That's about it.
As a Glaswegian, I bet you must know people who were there. Have you had any contact with anyone that that was out there? What it was like, what the atmosphere was like after?
I've not spoke to anyone since, to be honest with you. But I did a live stream watch along, so I was in here, had the cameras on and whatever, and see when like everything was happening, like either Rangers scored or they conceded or the penalty, whatever. I could hear people like shouting out their windows and stuff like that, or screaming. And then when Ramsey missed, I celebrated like it was a goal. I was just in here streaming, I'm like, yes, Ramsey, fucking da-da-da. And then I was like, shit, because the guy like 3 seconds later, the guy that's above me, because this is a shop, so there's people above you. I think he was angry, and I was like, "Crap, man! I better stop shouting, because I'll probably get out of here and get my face leathered." Like. So I had to kind of tame it in a bit. But
that is classic. I'm just having a little bit look back on some of the notes that we've got for the show.
Yeah, one thing we were talking about, Stish, was we're getting teams relegated now. Some seasons have finished. We're getting some red crosses popping up. So. some guys are going to be absolutely useless for a while. Some of them might hit the jackpot and get a transfer.
Yeah. This is the worrying part of the season for me. I've got a couple of super rares that are hanging on the balance. Like, lost one last weekend when Zwolle went down. And I've got Felix Strauss for Altac in Austria. He's a pretty good scorer as well. And if he goes down, I'll be gutted. I think he's a great under 23 defensive option. So if he does go down, I'm going to be hoping and praying he gets a transfer. But you know, he's an Austria under 21 international. So fingers crossed, if they go down, he'll get picked up by another side in the top division. Other ones I've been looking at, I've got a couple of players that already have red crosses that I saw, like Elias Cabot, who's on loan at Parma from Anderlecht, and they've got option to buy, but they're still staying in Serie B. But he's been linked to Lorient now, which is a Serie A, League One side, and like that'd be nice. So I might lose a red cross and then gain one at the same time. What about you, Sue? Have you got anything that you're particularly worried about in the gallery at the moment?
I've got Mitoma. I just bought him from Union. The only thing is he'll go back to Brighton, but I'm guessing somebody in Belgium, Club Brugge, Anderlecht, or even Union will try and buy him, which would make a lot of sense, as he's had that very good season. But that could make my gallery, or that could break my gallery.
Well, I would hope that he would stay at Union. Like, they're in Europe and stuff. I think they're owned by the same people, aren't they?
That's right, yeah.
And
maybe he wants to crack Premier League, or
maybe
it then takes my gallery from Challenger to Champion. I'm trying to stay away from Champion.
Yeah, I'm a bit like that.
I'm not interested, to be honest, because I've had scores of 400 unlimited and got tier 2s. So yeah, I'm not involved. I'm not getting involved in that.
I not find money really to buy
Mbappe.
Yeah, that's it. Like, it is. That's where it's really hard. And like champ is, unless you've got Mbappe, Neymar, Messi, or like a Liverpool stack or something like that, you're never really going to get those tier 0, tier 1 wins. Actually, so even like I've got lots of good players, but none of those like classic stacks. So even in the weeks where it all falls in place for me, I'll find myself finishing like 30th, 40th.
Yeah.
Like I had a really good score the other week. I think it was over 400, and you know, I barely scraped in with like a tier just inside the tier 2s. But yeah, I had like Koulibaly, Di Lorenzo. I've got Tony Cruz. I've got like Diego Jota. I've got
in rare or limited.
In rare, yeah. And then I've got like super rare options. I've got like William Carvalho, who if you know he's going to start, is not a bad option because he can put up some good all round scores.
He's not really been starting recently, but has he, or even 5-6 months ago? I looked to buy him.
Yeah, he's been getting quite a bit of game time. Like I feel like he's quite good value, but
before
like you said,
he was out the team, wasn't he?
Yeah, but the thing is, like you said, it's just difficult because even with players like that who can put up the scores, if they're not consistent, like he is in and out of the team, you just can't compete in champ. So he's probably more used in like the All-Star than in champ, because just it's so hard to compete in that division. It's more like it's the last one I go to fill, even though I've got a lot of champ Euro players and the good ones. You just can't compete with the stacks in that division at all. Like Real Madrid, Liverpool, PSG, those stacks just eat up the rewards every weekend. So I normally use the good ones in All-Star. Like I've been using my Napoli cards because those have got like the crazy XP. I think I got like 13% bonus on both of those. Mm-hmm. So that's almost it's like halfway to a super rare. So I've been just using those in the All-Star rare, and I've been hitting the ETH rewards, which you can't really scoff at that. That adds up a couple of times a week if you're lucky.
No, champion scares me because I know the rewards are better, but I'd rather have the opportunity to get a player at 0.2 that's got a chance of scoring 100 rather than a player at 0.2 that's got a chance of scoring 30 most weeks, because the prices are crazy and I wouldn't get any joy from that. The worry for me now is deciding about America. I want to be competitive over the summer, but do I strip it back to the bones and just try and ETH grind, or they're trying absolutely run the division. But I still think America, the prices will be high the first 2 weeks when Europe's about. Does that make sense?
I think because we got America till what, October before they finish. Is that right? October, November.
Yeah.
But so will Europe this year because of the World Cup.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think if I can just keep, like I said, that strong five, I need to change the defender and just grind it out. I think I could win a few cards with that because I've got players with two midfielders with last 15s of 58 and 52. Hernandez, if he pulls his finger out his arse,
Yeah.
the last 15 or 58. Do you know what I mean? I do want to build a monster couple of challenger teams as well, so I'm a bit in a predicament there.
You've been talking about building a monster challenger. Yeah, you've been kind of getting started with it already with some of the Russians and that, so it feels like that's a house you've half built so far.
Yeah, I do. Fernandez was my next. I'm targeting players that are kind of on loan going back. The boy Trezeguet for Aston Villa.
Mm-hmm.
He's one that I've got my eye on. I was making a deal from the other day and somebody went and blew me out the water and paid 0.47 ETH.
Ooh, punchy.
For somebody that's risky.
Yeah.
And I'm not really into super rares at the moment.
Yeah.
Do you pay that? I'm not quite sure you do.
I think you got a lot of really good supers under half an ether now. It's just try to pick which one and how far under an ether you can get them for,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was having this conversation with a friend of mine today, and we were talking about like what is a good price for like we kind of target U23, and he sent me a message with like a picture of some really good scores, and he's like, I'm not going to tell you who this player is, but if I told you that this player was an under 23 and he's putting up these averages of like, let's say his averages is about 60. He's like, how much would you reckon you pay for a super rare whose scores look like that? And I said, like, the big thing with under 23s is their midweek utility. For me, when I look at pricing, is this player playing in Europe as well? Like that, you can automatically add another 50% on their price if they are, because the U23 midweek is a lot less competitive. If you can field a U23 side in that Wednesday, Thursday night games, that player's price goes up because you win a lot. I find that I win more rewards in the week. Like I said, today I'm currently 17th with only 4 players, and the score's barely 300, I think. When you get to this stage of the season where there's not many fixtures, if you've got a U23 who plays for one of them teams that's still in Europe or or is maybe in luckily some of them are in Asia this weekend, but or this week rather. But yeah, I think like you said,
getting one for U23s, but that's interesting.
Yeah, getting one under half an ETH is difficult. I reckon like you're looking at 0.7, 0.8 for a useful one. And then if they play in Europe, you're looking at 1 to 1.2. And like beyond that, if they're like playing in the top clubs in, if they're Champions League, if like the Florian Wirtz, like they can, you can choose your price. Yeah, you can choose what you want to sell those for. But people like Joey Veerman, a good example as well of someone who plays at a top club in his division, but also is going to be playing in Europe next season. He's a 5 ETH super rare, at least at the moment. Possibly more when, they're probably going to lose Sangare, might lose Gutierrez this season. So he'll be like...
Gutierrez? What, the centre mid? Where's he going to go? I just bought him. I
can't remember where, but I remember seeing that he was linked to a few clubs, and there was some talk of like it might be the best time for them to cash in on him. So yeah, I'd have to look back to see who I was reading, but when I saw that, it was more like because I hold Veerman, I thought that it gives a little bit more security to that Veerman card if he does leave, because he's one of those players that can get rotated for Joey every now and then. So It's like, but he's a good pickup, I think.
Are we taking Eric Gutierrez right off the transfer market then, won't I?
I think PSV are going to be a good side next season. I think that they put...
Who's the new manager?
Mate, Zahavi's killing me.
Then isn't the new manager Van Nistelrooy? Is it Van Nistelrooy taking over there?
What is it, Van Nistelrooy? What was that about Zahavi, Tony, sorry?
I'm sure I put it in our group chat. I'm desperate to buy him, and yous have put me off because you say he could go to Qatar and that.
Oh, yeah. I thought you had an update on it. He was linked to Qatar or something, wasn't he? That's the thing with some of these guys as well, like because he is Israeli, isn't he? So him moving to like Saudi Arabia and all that, like relative world geography, he's not that far from home. Like it's not like somebody moving from Argentina and go to Qatar. Like
I'm looking at his stats now, Quinny. I don't mean to interrupt you, but oh my
no,
god, his last 12 or 14, he's had over 60.
Oof.
He is a monster, by the way.
Yeah, I fancy PSV next season. I think,
he's
especially
going to leave, that's the only thing.
If Ajax gets split up as well with, like Ten Hag leaving, and we know Mazraoui's off to possibly Bayern. Looks like it's pretty much done. There's mentions of of Timber moving to one of the Manchester sides, and like Anthony, they're probably going to lose again this summer. So if they lose all those.
They've been linked with Calvin Stengs as well. It's come into my group chats today.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting close season for the Eredivisie, I think. I've definitely got a few cards I'm hoping will do the business for me next season. Kenneth Taylor.
The way to hit the jackpot is buy a reasonably decent player that's just going about his business and let them get a move to Ajax, Galatasaray, Fenerbahce, PSV, Celtic, Rangers,
Benfica, Porto,
Sporting.
Yeah, that's what you want, isn't it? Like a player who is like decent for a lower side that's going to walk into one of those sides and become like first name on the team sheet. That's like the dream.
Yeah,
when you're working.
That's where picking up guys like Veerman really pays off, because you get him at Heerenveen, he's got a lot of promise, and it's like, he might go to Atalanta, or maybe he was linked to Rangers, Joey Veerman.
He was, yeah.
I remember that.
And then it's like, it could go I think if he went to Rangers, he'd be an absolute killer in SO5, but going to PSV is a great move. Doesn't need to change country, knows the league. Whereas you see guys like Koopmeiners go to Atalanta, and I think he's coming good, but that's been a painful season for holders,
Has it?
But Koopmeiners ticks, he's been in and out.
The prices he was at, he was so expensive when he moved as well. So anyone that bought him near that time, they'd have ended up just sat on that card that they probably spent an ETH and a bit on to just watch him sort of like in and out of the side.
Though, isn't it? It's hard.
Yeah.
I had the same experience with Nikola Vlasic, so I won at him when he was at CSKA Moscow. You'll remember, Stish, probably how good he was at that team, but he was disgustingly good, Vlasic.
Yeah.
Goes to West Ham, and I thought he would do good at West Ham. I think he's done okay-ish, but he's definitely not touched the side yet. So, you definitely want those challenger guys that will get to the best challenger teams, but the problem is sometimes guys that are really good in challenger look like good value for money for champion Euro clubs. Like, he's only £8 million, Joey Veerman or something, we'll go and buy him and put him on the bench for fucking Arsenal or something, and you're screwed.
Mate, this is the thing I'm most dreading about this closed season, is watching my absolute baller challenger cards move to sit on the bench in champ. That's the most worrying part of the preseason every season for me. And I've definitely got a few, like Anthony. If he does go to Man United, he's going to be there up against Sancho and Rashford and all these players. He won't start every game if he goes. I've got him. I think the only one I've got that I wouldn't mind if he to move to champ is Darwin Núñez, because I think
he's moving in.
Yeah, and I think I think he'll start wherever he goes anyway. So I'm not too bothered about him. But it's those other team players, like you said, that will go to a Man City and sit on the bench all season, or Liverpool. I've got Luka Sucic at Salzburg, young 19-year-old kid who's on fire at the minute, and he's been linked to Liverpool. And I'm like, please do not go to Liverpool, because I don't think they'll loan him out, but it'll just be on the bench every game for a couple of seasons. It'll be such a shame if he goes there for me.
It's painful when it happens.
Yeah, because a team like Liverpool, they need a big squad if they're going to be challenging for 4 titles again next season. They're going to have a player like him in their squad and just not use him, like they did with Nat Phillips. They had about 6 defenders that they could use, and he didn't even go out on loan until January.
I definitely think all these kind of moving parts that are going on now, I'm kind of thinking about what you're saying earlier, Tony, and that kind of half-built challenger house that you've been putting together so far. There's definitely a lot of good opportunities in Europe now, but it's one of these ones that when you put these strategies out, like anything, and you're thinking, right, that'll pay me off in 3 months from now or 6 weeks. It's when you actually need to live through it, it becomes the hard bit. I looked at my limiteds and I'm like, I've got 110 of these fuckers. And then I had to I had to go through my gallery and go, how have I got 110 limiteds? And 45 of them were rookies that I was buying for just to collect them up, store them up, kind of thing. So anyway, it comes back to time. I was looking at it, thinking I've been playing limiteds for almost a year. I've got about 100-ish cards, and then I'm looking at how well I've done and what I've won and whatever. And it wasn't really balancing up and adding up for me. And I'm like, where do all these extra limiteds? I'm thinking about me picking my teams, and I'm like, I've not got like 6 options per position. That's not how good I am there. And it's one of these ones. That strategy started off, the limited rookies, is like, oh, whenever I've got like odd balances on my wallet, I've got like some favourite rookies, and I'll just go on the auctions, and whatever auction I can submit a bid for that will make my balance a round number, then that's
oh no.
Then that's the rookie I'll buy.
Your OCD, mate. Your OCD's like cost you a few ETH, mate.
Well, it's actually came back round full circle. Like I sold 13 limiteds within 24 hours earlier this week, and a few of them were these rookies, and I raised just under 0.8 ETH.
Wow,
which I thought was pretty tidy. Do you
think that was profitable if you look back at what you paid for them, or did you have to sell some at a loss?
I did it in that video, so anyone who's listening to this will know like, the actual answer. I won't go into it in too much detail, but basically, like, I think ETH-wise, a lot of them are about, I think the whole thing is up a little bit on ETH and probably a bit more up on fiat.
Yeah.
Because I've had a lot of those guys from like when they came out. Like I've got really low serial numbers for a lot of them. And I managed to, it became, and again, there's a video, so I won't bore people that are listening to this that have maybe seen it, but like with the bear market we had with ETH over the last week, the ETH rates of a lot of these guys has went up.
Yeah.
And it made getting 0.8 ETH for 13 limiteds way easier than it was like a week ago. So even though some of these guys are now out of season, and I sold like Safanov for like 0. Whatever he goes for, and I sold Zacharian for good money. I sold Lautaro Martinez. The 3 of them were probably about 0.4 between the 3 of them. And
nice.
To get guys at good rates end of season, I thought it was just a really good kind of time for me. But that was kind of pushed upon me because I was kind of looking at it going like, I've got way too many limiteds for how much I'm winning and for how much I enjoy it and whatever else I'm doing. And
yeah.
It's I get those ones that when you put the strategy out, you think like that's a bit of a shite one for me. It's just like putting away loose change into rookies. But like the rest of those cards I sold were rookies, and I made money on all the rookies. All the rookies were up by like 2x, if not 3x. And it's not big amounts of money, but when you're doing that with like 4 guys, like I had a rookie. I've got 1 or 2 of them left. His name is Anthony Jibu Malambo or something. He plays for Feyenoord.
He's in his card.
He's a really young guy. I bought 6 of them for like 0.006 or something like that. And then I was selling them yesterday for a threshold, 0.02 each.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And that's a rookie that's never kicked a ball all season, not done anything, but sit in my gallery. So
you got to love that. That's good trading.
Yeah, but that's had to bail me out because I wasn't waiting for time on some other stuff. I was just like selling cards that were expensive when they were good for utility just to make things happen and whatever. And I think if you can like knuckle in, because that's what I've done basically. That's kind of why I've come on that point with Tony, I guess. But like in February to April, all I've been buying is Champion and Challenger Euro cards. I'm kind of I'm at my fill now. I'm at that point where I'm sitting back and waiting for Europe to come back again. And that's the hard bit. It's trying to not sell some of them because it's like, oh, do I really need Max Arnold now? No, I don't. I don't really care about him. But no, just keep him. He'll come back. Like he'll be like Tony. He's already lost some kilos. He's improving his diet. He's hitting the gym. He's waiting to come back for next year.
All-round score was only 25, and I want that to be a 35 all-round score.
That's what we're after.
Down 3 kilos.
You can keep an eye on your scores and like you can use that to like track your own performance now.
Yeah.
Before like that though, do footballers tend to look at their Opta stats, or do you get told them to like? Is that something that you come into sort of prepare for the next game and get hammered with statistics or anything like that?
Honestly, no. I don't think it's. You always get an in-stat report, which is fair, but No, I don't. I don't see it like that. It's hard to. It's really hard to say because you do look at how your stats have went, but you don't really say, "Oh, I've been crap," because you do know that sometimes in a game you do something and maybe you put across right in the money and somebody miskicks it or misses it, or there's a lot of stuff that you do that goes unnoticed, which I'm alright with. I try and just keep a reasonable, do you know what I mean, like level head on it, because it's easy to get beat up about it, but
big time.
It's good now that we're on Sorare, because if I have a good game I can go and click it and watch it and big myself up a little bit extra.
That's it. Should be a good season for you. Seen you got a Charlie Mulgrew super rare in as well.
I just thought I done it after he had a good game because it wasn't inside info.
Yeah.
I thought, do you know what? How can that be inside info if it's after he's posted a 95? So that would be the least inside info. That would be the stupidest thing to do. So I thought, I'm going to progress into Challenger Pro, and if he can put up a 60 10 times, and I can get a Smolov who out of the 10 times puts up a 5 60s or a couple of 80s, I've got a good chance of winning some with a decent enough 3 next to them. So
I agree with you.
Hopefully that works. I'm not sure if it's going to work, but I'm hopeful, to say the least.
I picked up that Dylan Levitt unique in the week.
Goodbye.
Yeah,
catch up on that.
I've been following the news, so I'm definitely going to be hitting you up for any news on that.
Any infos without bungs. A big bung.
Yeah, but I saw that it came up on Transfermarkt that he's gone back to Man United, he's completed his loan transfer, but he is out of contract at Man United this summer, so
yeah,
I'm sure there'll be interest there.
I think he'll find out about his future over the next few days, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd be really happy to see him back there, to be honest. I think, as you'll know better than most, he's had an amazing season there, and for his own development, and if Wales do qualify for the World Cup, then he's going to want to be playing every week. And
he's been absolutely brilliant for us. He's there's not much you can say about him. He's been our main man for the last 2 months. He scored a few good goals. Scored against Celtic, an absolute screamer. I'll be just as happy as you.
Yeah,
to be honest.
I don't think Wales can get to the World Cup, Stish.
I know they can.
No, they play Scotland. They can't make it.
Aye, true.
Stish, we're not thinking about Wales going to the World Cup.
We've got no utility out of him.
I'm sitting here and I'm like, Wales. Why does that ring a bell for me? I don't know.
I'm currently, while we're speaking, trying to get a defender in for my MLS team. The boy Alan Franco, you've heard of him?
Yeah. Atlanta United, very good player.
Good scorer. So I've just done that while we're speaking.
Atlanta United are just a basket case, but I actually had my Atlanta shirt on earlier today. I've not worn it in a while. But
they're a basket case, but they might get Josef Martinez back soon.
They're just about to click in, man. Yeah, all the reports, I listen to MLS pods when I can't watch the stuff, and they're talking about how good Almada's been recently. See, when that Luis Araujo gets back fit as well, I think he played the last game. Like, they're a team that will click in, so they're a pain in the ass now, but Franco's solid. I've
put an offer in for Mark Delgado, super rare.
Oh, cool. He's solid as well.
Josef Martinez and Paulinho from Sporting.
Yep. I'm trying to look now. I've got the window open. We was talking earlier about an America's player like 0.2 for a rare.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And I'm just now having a look at what's going on this weekend and what's available. And actually,
Charlotte got one of the better fixtures. Like, if you can target a fixture this game week, it's Charlotte.
Who have they got?
They're at home to Vancouver. But Charlotte have got when they're at home, it's like a 70,000 seater stadium. They sell it out all the time.
Right.
Wow.
And then it's like Thomas Hassel's just broke his finger, so the goalkeeper for Vancouver is the number 2. And if you actually look at Vancouver on the table, they concede 10 goals a game. So it's a very good fixture if you can get. Charlotte don't have any big scorers. That's
what you're trying to say is he's got lettuce wrists.
Yeah.
Keeper.
That's exactly it.
Wrists. Yeah, by the way, MLS is mad because Kansas got beat 7-2 the other day and then won 2-1 last night.
Yeah.
What's going on with that league?
See, with MLS, the best team, or see any good teams, or any of the teams actually, they're really skin deep. So like the best 11 will be like a good team that would give most professional sides a game, if you know what I mean. But like you take somebody like a DP out of the situation, the injury, or out of form or whatever, like the guys behind them, it's very thin on quality.
I can imagine that, to be honest, because of the disparity in wages. You've got like a Carlos Vela,
yep,
or a Javi Hernandez and these boys, and then you put in a young 20-year-old rookie that maybe isn't going to make a grade. The difference is massive, isn't it?
Yeah. That's why it's fun to watch, because you're 7-2, nobody's seen that coming. But if you're saying MLS is like none of the games, you're never going to learn anything about football watching MLS, but you'll probably always have a bit of fun,
Yeah, no, I get that. I'm looking now, so like I think I know who I'm going to pick as like this 0.2 or under.
Are we going
America.
for that? The 0.2 or under American?
Yeah, for a rare. Yeah.
Okay,
I'm going to go for Lewis Morgan. I'm going to go for Lewis Morgan. They play Inter Miami this weekend, and you can get him on the market at the moment for...
That's his old club, do you know that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good point, yeah. Well, he knows them. He could put a goal in against them. I think Marsman's
MLS
still
or
out.
American, are we saying?
So just I went for America across, so not just MLS, so like any Americas. So I'm going to go for Lewis Morgan. Yeah, I fancy him. And like I said, like Inter Miami, I'm not sure if Nick Marsman's back from injury yet. So, they're playing their third choice goalkeeper at the moment. So fancy Lewis to stick one past the old guard. I'm going to go with Lewis Morgan.
I've got two options. One, both of them get the same first three letters in their name.
Jesus?
No, I wish it. It's either Kyoto or Quinones from Atlas, and respectively, where is Kyoto?
Montreal.
Do you know what? I'll go Kyoto because they are flying. Romel Kyoto, that's my man.
Romel Kyoto.
I'm going to go with... bear in mind, I don't want to lose again.
You go with... who hits 100 every week?
Yeah.
Castellanos.
I was going to go with a Charlotte player, but I don't see a Charlotte player that's capable of getting a big score. So what's the limit? We're saying 1.2?
0.2 ETH, yeah.
I'm probably going to go for... I'm going to go for a guy I just bought. I'm going to go for Fragapane.
Yep.
That sounds like somebody from down the boozer in Glasgow. Fragapane.
Franco Fragapane.
Franco Fragapane, the most Scottish guy you'll ever see.
Take the O off, yeah. Frank Fragapane.
Big Frank. No, Franco's a wee dodgy guy in Glasgow as well. You could end up getting called Franco.
Yeah.
That's if you sell stuff, but only if you sell stuff you're called Franco.
Franco Fragapane.
That's a good one, Quinny, by the way.
I like that. That's good.
I picked him up for 0.17. He goes for about 0.15, give or take. He's away to Dallas, which isn't a good game, but he's got decisives in him. He got a 62 in the last match against Galaxy. That was with no decisive. So maybe I'll win this week.
What is the forfeit this week? Is it another? Have we got another dance on the cards, or have we got something else to do?
How about we ask a suggestion from the audience, and then we'll pick the best one out of that.
I've got a good one coming up as well in my head.
So, unless Tony's got one locked and loaded.
No. On you go. I think Stish could make a beat.
Yeah.
A 15-second beat.
And you got a rap on it.
Rap on it. We pick 5 players between us, the other 2, to make a rap. A 20-second beat.
Oh.
So you need to, and the rap needs to consist of a rhyme. For instance, I've got on my screen.
You got to make sure they rhyme.
Galaxy. So you could rhyme that with Galaxy.
Right.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Are you sure you're not a rapper, Tony?
Well, that was unbelievable. That was fast. To be fair, I went past 10 players to get it. I had Perth Skewers, Estupinan, Bocage. So I thought, find big Galaxy Caramel. Oh.
Wait, I can't wait for everyone to see you dancing, Quinny, because I quite enjoyed doing the
I've
little
not
video
seen it. Have you put it in the chat?
You're going to get to see it. Yeah, have a look at it in the chat. That was a highlight for me. We haven't spoken about sort of any any picks, any tips for the underdog this week. I did a little video in the week of some challenger picks. I like underdog picks. I like to have a look and see who's out there, and I managed to get a whole team together for £88 this week for the underdog. So like some of the players, I'm just going to go through my notes and pick out some of the players I was finding that are like eligible for underdog this week that kind of like look decent. I feel like I picked up Donovan Pines. You know, he's a player who's capable of putting up some pretty big scores. Jack Mayer at Nashville, another one.
I've got him on my favourites list. I think he was one of the top drafts.
There you go. Yeah, I picked him up tipped him for my underdog this week. Who else did I have? Pedro at Lazio was an interesting one. He came in off the bench in the last game, and you know they've got a fairly easy fixture this weekend. I think that there's a chance he starts. But the thing with Pedro is, even if he doesn't start, there is maybe a decisive in him. And unreal price on him, 0.0048 he is available for.
For rare?
For a limited, sorry.
I was going to say, that's criminal. But yeah, fair enough, that makes sense.
Even at a limited, you know, like less than 10 quid for Pedro, I thought was pretty decent. It's just like, another one I saw was like Ilzhichenko at... he plays for Incheon.
Korea, yeah.
You know, he takes pens. You can get him for 0.01, and you get utility through the summer with him as well. If you get hold of him now, you can use him through the summer. I picked up Shunin as a goalkeeper there.
Hey,
because we spoke about him on the podcast before, and yeah, he's just signed a 2-year contract extension. Looks like a safe option for next season if they don't sign anyone, right? So
yeah, the Russian league's so undervalued, I feel. Yeah,
so if you wanted to pick him up this week, you can get him for 0.023, which I thought was good. Obviously, you're only going to get one. Is it 1 or 2 games they have left in Russia at the minute? They've not got many, right?
One, I think.
One.
I think so I could be wrong. But
so
it's Fernandez. Farewell.
Yeah, you might be waiting a little bit to get some more usage out of that one, but there is definitely some value out there if you did need to fill some gaps. Another one I was looking at was Maggiore plays in Serie A. Is he at like Udinese or something like that? Is it Udinese or who's he played? The team let me find him. Spezia. Sorry, I knew it was the black and white kit. 24 years old, looks a good player, puts up some decent scores, and you can pick him up for 0.01 at the moment.
Nice.
But they do play Napoli this weekend, so I'm not sure he's not going to hit those big scores, but quite an attractive price for a decent player if you need to fill a gap. Who else did I find? There's a bunch of players out there.
I went to do a wee bit of work for this as well, and I bought a player for the specialist that was like the underdog qualified card, if that makes sense, like under 40 L15.
Under 40.
And I thought the best player I could find in terms of having a good fixture, all the rest of it, yada yada, was Yusuf Neseri. Sorry if I can say that. Yusuf Neseri, the Moroccan forward for Sevilla. So they've got that. Yeah, last game of the season at home to Bilbao. They're still like looking to tie up their position in the table. After it looked like for a while they were second, maybe they'll challenge Real Madrid. Now it's like, they might finish fourth, or maybe they won't. You know, like so they'll want to get over the line. He scored last week. He gets a lot of flack from the Seville fans because he doesn't do a lot of work off the ball. But he scored last week, and he'll definitely want to finish the season on a high at home. Big important game, 6 pointer.
West Ham wanted him, didn't they?
Yeah, I think he's that kind of guy. He's the sort of guy that what do you call it? Moneyball teams like West Ham are kind of been built like that now. He's good for data metrics and stuff like that. But it's like shot conversion percentages and all that stuff. But I say, Sevilla fans have been giving him a hard time this year. But I'm hoping that's what he goes for. And he's really cheap as well.
I'm looking now. You can pick him up for like 0.0209. And yeah, like you said, his L15 comes in at 39, but his L5 is 46. So that is a really good one for the specialist. I find that specialist like those those L15s under 40 are really tough, like to field. Like you do kind of have to. That's where like your scouting comes in, playing the underdog and the specialist. I think like that. Those two players that need to be under 40 to find someone who's going to maybe put up a 50 plus. That's where that's where the winners of that league, of that division, come.
Can I share something else with you? So when I was doing the research for that, right, I thought, right, I'm going to need to buy an underdog qualified card for the specialist. So I'll try and like find the best fixture, yada yada. If this is of use to anyone else at this stage, the games I earmarked as being the best matches to try and pick a card from, and all these guys had underdog cards in their teams, unfortunately, but Inter Milan at home to Sampdoria, they're trying to win the title. Sampdoria are dead in the water, nothing's happening with them. Charlotte at home to Vancouver, we spoke about that. NYC at home to Chicago, I think that's going to be an NYC goal fest.
Yep.
PSG, but you're not going to get any underdog cards out of that team. And then Sevilla and Salzburg, they're like the best. If you can get underdog cards or even whatever cards, they have good fixtures this game week. They're the ones that really caught my eye. I think they're all at home. They've all got something riding on games and stuff. Maybe Salzburg are a wee bit different because they win their league by 1,000 points.
Salzburg isn't a bad one though, because they are rotating a lot at the moment. So a lot of the players that have started the last couple of games will have low L40 scores or L15s because they come on a sub a lot. But in the last couple of games they've started, so that's not a bad place to start looking, I think. I might even
if you have that kind of intel on Salzburg, then definitely. I didn't. I just seen them enough up. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to.
I've got a couple of Salzburg players, so I've been kind of keeping an eye on their last couple of games, and it's been really hard to pick their starting 11. But if you do need an L15 under 40, there will be some proper players there at Salzburg. Just hopefully pick one that is going to start. And I think a good thing about picking up a player like that from a team like Salzburg is when the season starts again, you've got a good card there, and the Austria window, like the season close, Austria, Switzerland, and Denmark are the first challenger clubs to come back again. So you will be waiting a little bit less time with your Austria cards than most of your other challenger cards. So that first couple of weeks back, when Europe starts to open again, that challenger is only going to be Austria, Switzerland, and Denmark. So if you've got a few Austria players, that first couple of weeks in challenger,
you'll be all right. You won about 40 in the rewards, didn't you?
Yeah. I've got an actual squad. Yeah, I think I just got to hope they don't all get relegated. Yeah.
Jesus. Oh, mad.
You got me looking at these under 40 L15s now. I like your tips there, Quinny.
I've just realised next to that list of the fixtures, I've also got a little list of players. So I've maybe done a wee bit of this already, but Joaquin Correa at Inter Milan should get minutes, may get a decisive, maybe he starts, probably doesn't. Charlotte, there's a lot of players, I've done that on a video, but like Jordi Reina, Sergio Ruiz, Joseph Mora. Heber might come off the bench for NYC and get a goal. Now at PSG, they actually had 3 players that qualify, but I don't think any of them are going to play. And that's Kerreher, Diallo, and Gini Wijnaldum.
Wijnaldum might play.
Oh yeah?
On the other day, he might play.
Well, he's underdog qualified, if you fancy that. And he plays all the time for Holland, so if you did want a Wijnaldum anyway, and he might be leaving PSG in the summer as well.
Yeah.
And for Salzburg, I had Quinton Sesko.
Yeah. I mean, you'd take any of them. Like, they're quite. What one of them have you got their prices by any chance? Like, which one? Are you?
Sorry, no, I did it 3 days ago. It'll all be out of whack.
I'll find it. I've seen that. Yeah, I've got like a little search up now, and I think that like one of the Charlotte defenders comes up. Christian McCoon.
Oh, McCoon. Yeah.
McCoon, yeah, and you can pick him up for 0.007. It's a decent little cheap option there, especially with the fixture, like you said.
That's a good fixture.
Eric Williamson at Portland.
Yeah, he came up as well, but I just don't like their fixture. I can't remember who they've got.
Philadelphia, yeah. Tough fixture. Yeah, it's interesting. It does get you looking, the underdog and the specialist.
Cool. So guys, I hope you have a fantastic game week. Tony, this will be your first game week actually on the sidelines with the rest of us mortals. So I hope you have fun with it, buddy. To round the podcast off, guys, what is the team that we're really backing this game week? What's the lineup that you're going for?
I'll get mine out of the way. Stish. Fry, new defender, hopefully Alan Franco. Kyoto, Cara, and Chicharito.
Oh, MLS, loving it.
I've got a Challenger Europe, but I'm not going to even. We won't speak about them next week as the league will be done. So
fair enough.
So I think my U23 super rare. I've got this kind of lies a little bit on whether or not I think Kook is going to start. Okay. If I think Kook's going to start for Mechelen, then I'll probably go with this. If not, I'll probably try and put a strong D3 out instead. But for the D2 at the minute, I've got Gaetan Kook in goal, Lee Hambom unique, Felix Strauss, who is fighting for survival for Altac. I want to put him into good use because he might be the last time I get to use him for a year or two if he goes down. Eric Martel at Austria Vienna. Again, his loan finishes. He should be back to Leipzig this summer. So I'm not sure how much use I'll get out of him next season either. And then up front, Jesus Ferreira. I think he's got a good fixture. I think that team's pretty solid. I've got options if needs be. I've got Deviv there I could use and a bunch of other players. But as it stands, I'll probably go with that. And, I'll try and find out if Kook is likely to start or not. If I think he's going to be rotated out, I'll probably just move some of them down into D3 and maybe move the unique into All-Star instead. But yeah, I'm quite looking forward to that. If I think Kook's going to start, I think that's a great lineup.
Same, sounds good, man. Especially if that's one of your better ones, under 23 Super. The main lineup I'm rolling out this game week is All-Star Rare Pro, so I'm going to go with Nubel in goals. The game before the Champions League final, I think Andy Robertson, I think he will play, so I'm going to play him at home to Wolves. Zela Ryan, Super Rare Enes Unal, last game of the season, needs to get a goal, and then Super Rare Ki Sung Young. So I'm hoping I can get in amongst the top 50 or so with all that. To everyone listening, I hope you've enjoyed this. Have a great game week yourself. Good luck. And we'll catch you next week. Take care.
Cheers all.
Bye-bye.
Pleasure, lads.